Pain has a sound only the wounded can hear. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it settles like a whisper behind the ribs and refuses to leave. That's how my story began, with a silence heavier than words. Everything looked the same sky, the same faces, the same streets, but nothing was the same. Something inside me had snapped without warning, like a string pulled too tight for too long. I couldn't tell if it was sadness or exhaustion. I only knew that every day it cost a little more to breathe without hurting. I tried to hide it. I said I was fine, that it was just a phase. But inside I felt like an empty building. People passed by and smiled, and I pretended to understand their joy. Nights were the worst. Silence turned into a mirror, and in it I saw myself small, vulnerable, full of questions with no answers. Why, God? Why now? Why like this? At first I believed pain was my enemy. I argued with it, tried to ignore it, buried it under work and noise and distractions. But pain is persistent. When you force it quiet, it shouts inside. One night, tired of running, I let it reach me. I cried the way a child cries, ashamed and relieved at the same time, the way truth makes you fall to your knees. And there, in surrender, something shifted. I sensed God was there, not with explanations, but with presence. He didn't remove the pain, he held me inside it. I learned that sometimes it isn't about understanding, but about enduring, standing without losing faith. The miracle isn't always the disappearance of pain. Sometimes it's that you're still standing when you swore you couldn't be. For days I walked like a survivor. Each step was a battle, but each step was also a prayer. I started honoring small mercies, a kind greeting, a shaft of sunlight through clouds, a song that felt written for me. The pain remained, but it changed color. It wasn't only shadow anymore, it began to teach. Pain has memory. It shows you what you neglected, what you took for granted, what truly matters. It is an uncomfortable mirror, but an honest one. My wounds spoke less about weakness than about my need to be loved. I wasn't weak because I felt I was human, and that humanity, once my shame, became my doorway to the divine. One afternoon I wandered without purpose and saw an old man on a bench. He looked up and said to a stranger, "Me. Pain doesn't come to stay, it comes to teach you how to see." I was speechless. Message or coincidence, his words anchored in me. From that day, my gaze began to change. I started to write, not to publish, but to listen. Writing arranged the chaos. On the page I discovered pain wasn't punishment. It was a tool. God was using it to cut away excess, to tune what had drifted out of tune. Life was polishing me through trial. Every tear became a step, every step a prayer, every prayer a seed. I couldn't see it yet, but something new was sprouting inside my sadness. Maybe strength isn't born from stubborn resistance, but from allowing pain to transform you. Like clay in the potter's hands, my soul was being shaped by tears. That night I slept in peace for the first time, not because the pain left, but because I stopped fearing it. It wasn't my enemy, it was my teacher. And at dawn, with the window brightening, I recognized the hidden promise. The pain I feel today will become the strength that holds me tomorrow. People say time heals everything, but I learned time doesn't heal. What you do with time heals. Some days the hours dragged like a tired clock. Other days, something in my chest stirred, an impulse to stand up, even if only to open the window and let the light in. That was my first victory. Getting up, not because I wanted to, but because if I didn't, pain would win. Healing isn't an event. It's a road, hills and valleys, pauses and stumbles. Some mornings I felt strong enough to face the world. Other mornings a word, a memory, a melody shoved me toward the edge again. When that happened, the only thing I could do was be still and breathe. To breathe like someone who prays without words, just hoping not to break completely. I learned to look at my days with mercy. To stop demanding perfection from myself. To accept that God wanted truth more than triumph. His love isn't measured by my achievements, but by His constancy. And in that realization, I loosened my need for answers. Not every pain has an explanation, but every pain can have a purpose. On a gray day, I took a long walk. The sky was a lid, the wind a cold hand on my face. Inside, I felt the same weather. Still, I kept going, driven by the thin thread of faith that refuses to die, even when everything looks lost. And as I walked, I understood, sometimes God doesn't calm the storm. He teaches you to dance in the rain. Little signs revealed a change. Music that once saddened me began to soothe me. Conversations I avoided now helped me think. The silence I feared became my refuge. When you learn to remain with yourself without running, loneliness turns into encounter. And in that encounter, patience was born. Patience isn't resignation, it's faith in motion. It believes that even when you can't see results, God is still at work. The more I trusted, the less I needed to control. Everything forced breaks. Everything surrendered blooms. Some nights I knelt without words. I no longer asked for pain to vanish. I asked it to teach me. Each time I prayed that way, something softened in my chest, and a quiet voice seemed to answer. I'm here, not to take the weight away, but to carry you with it. At sunset behind the mountains, I remembered all the time I'd wasted trying to escape suffering, when the process itself was growing me. If the soul never breaks, it never learns. It wasn't pain that was ruining me. It was my resistance to it. That realization changed me. I began treating my wounds as part of my story, not my sentence. Each one carried a lesson. Rejection taught me to love myself. Loss taught me to release. Disappointment taught me to trust God more than human expectations. Every wound was a door, and behind each door a shard of light waited. Over time, faith felt less like a concept and more like breathing. It was the simple act of opening my eyes in the morning and saying, "Here I am, Lord. I don't understand everything, but I trust." That sentence became my shield. Then I realized, what once weighed me down now made me stronger. Pain didn't disappear. It transformed. Like fire purifying gold, suffering burned away what wasn't essential. Inside that fire, I found something I didn't know I had: resilience. Life doesn't always give you what you ask for, but it gives what you need. I needed that long night to learn that not everything broken is lost, and that God lives in the cracks. Slowly, I learned to give thanks even for what hurt, because every tear drew me closer to purpose, to truth, and to Him. A different dawn arrived without announcement. The sky and air stayed the same, but something inside me lit up. I rose with a light certainty. I'm not the same. Not because pain was gone, but because it no longer defined me. It remained, but it no longer ruled. From that day, beauty appeared where I'd never seen it. Rain on the roof, the smell of fresh coffee, a voice saying hello on the street. Ordinary things became sacred. It was as if God were showing me that life doesn't stall in pain, it renews inside it. Simple things turn into miracles when you look with new eyes. That was my awakening. Not a loud revelation, but a gentle clarity that made me feel accompanied. I realized pain hadn't stolen hope. It had purified it. I didn't expect easy anymore, only true. In the park, leafless winter trees stood steady, waiting for their season. I watched them a long time and understood. Faith is like a tree in winter. It looks dead, but the roots are living. Even without fruit, life is working underground. I started living with a quiet certainty. God is working even when I don't see Him. That certainty brought peace, steady, unflashy peace that lets you face your days without constant answers. Faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to believe in spite of it. Each night I wrote 3 things to be grateful for. At first it was hard. Slowly the list grew: an honest conversation, a shared meal, a moment of laughter. Those small gratitudes became my daily prayer. The more I gave thanks, the more reasons I found to keep thanking. A grateful heart heals. One night under a wide sky, I remembered the tears, the falls, the sleepless hours, and I felt tenderness for the version of me that suffered through them. I no longer saw that self as an enemy, but as a traveling companion. Pain had helped me grow. Without it, I wouldn't know the depth of faith or the sweetness of compassion. I started noticing people more. Their gestures, their eyes, their silences. I judged less quickly, knowing everyone carries invisible battles. Pain makes you more human and more able to love. That was one of the most beautiful lessons. Sometimes the most generous heart is the one that has been broken. Sometimes life breaks you just to enlarge your capacity for love. That's what happened to me. A rigid heart became softer, more receptive, more real. Pain emptied me, yes, but it also opened me. In the open space, God filled what was missing with His presence. One day, someone asked how I had moved forward. I paused. No formula. I said, I let pain teach me instead of fighting it. Because I learned the struggle wasn't against pain, it was against the fear of feeling it. From then on, each day became a small flight. Not a soaring spectacle, but steady lift. Wind could change, and I could still hold. My strength wasn't avoiding storms, but remembering who walks with me inside them. I began helping others, sometimes with words, sometimes with listening. Healing others heals you. When you share what pain taught you, your story turns into hope for someone else. Purpose arrived quietly like that. I looked back again, without longing, but with gratitude. Everything had meaning, even what I hadn't understood when it happened. Every tear was a seed, every silence a conversation with God. My new prayer was simple. Thank you for not leaving me the same after the pain. Pain had been my teacher. Gratitude became my guide. With gratitude, I stepped into a different future, one where fear doesn't get the last word, where faith becomes the strength that holds me every morning. Time passed, but I stopped counting it by hurts. I counted it by what I learned. The change wasn't sudden. It was slow like dawn, imperceptible until the room is full of light. Pain hadn't left. It had taken a new shape. It wasn't a weight. It was an engine. It didn't stop me. It propelled me. The first sign of strength was this. I could look at my past without trembling. I could name my wounds without hiding them. I could speak about what broke me without shame, only with the calm that forgiveness brings. Not just forgiving others, forgiving myself. That forgiveness opened a window in a long-closed room. Air and life came in. I began to order my days with intention. No more rising by inertia. Breakfast without hurry, walking without headphones, looking at the sky and giving thanks. These simple actions became my liturgy. I realized spirituality lives not only in temples, but in how you carry the ordinary, how you greet the cashier, how you listen to the weary, how you guard your silence. I had spent so much time asking why God allowed pain that I forgot to ask what for. The answer didn't arrive in sentences, but in changes. Pain made me compassionate, patient, attentive to others. Where pride had been, tenderness stood. Where demand had ruled, a quiet settled. Suffering hadn't made me worse. It had made me more human. By the sea, I watched waves strike and retreat again and again. Life is like that, coming and going, storm and calm. Yet the ocean remains itself. So does the soul. Pain doesn't steal your essence, it reveals it. Strength isn't never crying. Strength is crying and walking anyway. It's admitting fragility without letting hope go. The tears I once despised became the map that led me here, more awake, lighter, freer. I spent more time with people in their own battles. I didn't speak from theory, I spoke from bruises. Every time I said, I know what that feels like, my soul widened. Helping wasn't an obligation. It was the natural overflow of what I'd received. My scars found their purpose, to be lamps. Pain left me a hidden gift, empathy. When you know you were held by grace, you can't look at others with hardness. True strength is born from love, not from armor. I also learned boundaries. Healing isn't letting everyone harm you again. Healing is loving without losing yourself. Not everyone will stay, and that's okay. Some people are chapters, not the whole book. I learned to release with gratitude, to say goodbye without bitterness. Sometimes the strength God gives isn't to keep, it's to let go. Days felt lighter. There was peace in my routines, hope in my silences, purpose in my words. I found myself smiling for no reason, breathing deeply, walking without looking back. Life didn't need to be perfect to be beautiful. The wounds remained, but they didn't bleed. They shone. One night I wrote a line and stopped. Pain taught me to endure, but love taught me to live. That was it. The same love that held me when I had no strength, that waited for me in my chaos, that never tired of me. That love became my home. In the quiet of an ordinary day, I realized my strength no longer came from proving anything, but from knowing everything has meaning when lived with faith. Pain had shaped me, but God gave me wings. With invisible wings, I began to fly low, close to people, close to the ground, while keeping my heart close to heaven. When I look back, I can't believe I'm the same person who once felt lost. The one who crawled, begging for reasons to go on, now walks with steadier steps. Not because everything is right, but because I learned how to be right even when things are not. Pain changed me, not to destroy me, but to reveal me. What I once called punishment, I now understand as the language God used to speak where I could finally hear. True strength doesn't shout, brag, or force its way. It is quiet. It lives in small gestures, still loving after disappointment, standing even when it still hurts, forgiving without being asked. That is the strength that holds the soul, the kind that measures not muscle, but faith. There were days I thought I'd never leave the tunnel, that my life would be stamped by sadness. But God had another plan. He didn't yank me out. He walked with me to the end, step by step, until light appeared. Then I understood. He wasn't merely taking me out of the dark. He was teaching me to shine inside it. Faith doesn't delete fear. It disarms it. It doesn't erase scars. It gives them meaning. It doesn't stop storms. It teaches you to sail with hope. That hope is my treasure, the one that steadies me when life tests my trust again. Trials won't stop coming, but I don't fear them now. Each one is a lesson, and the God who held me once will hold me every time. I live slower now, listen deeper, love with presence. I'm not in a hurry to arrive, because I learned the journey is where transformation happens. Each day carries its portion of grace, and that is enough. My prayer is no longer, give me strength, but make me aware of the strength you've already given. That strength, born from pain, now helps me lift others. When I see someone broken and tired, I see a version of myself. I go gently, promising no easy answers, but bringing certainty. There is hope. Sometimes I say nothing. I just listen. In that silence, God still works. He uses our scars to heal other hearts. What once hurt now comforts. Purpose didn't strike like lightning. It came slowly, in each person I could accompany, in each honest line I wrote, in each unselfish gesture. Purpose isn't found out there. It blossoms within when you accept life as it is. Once it blooms, it doesn't burn out. A soft, steady flame that illuminates without burning. People ask if it still hurts. I smile and tell the truth. Yes, sometimes. But pain no longer has power. It's an occasional visitor, not an owner. When it comes, I greet it, give it a seat, let it speak, then let it go. Don't run from emotions. Listen to them. Even pain, when heard, transforms. Today I'm grateful for everything, for what was and what wasn't, for what I lost, because it taught me to treasure what I have. For tears, because they washed my eyes to see the essential. For silence, because there I learned to hear God's voice. Most of all, I'm grateful to discover that life is not always what we dream, but it can always be beautiful when you look at it with faith. A soul that has suffered and kept loving is indestructible. A heart that has cried and still dares to believe is invincible. A person who touched bottom and found God there fears nothing. After that, everything else is learning. So let me tell you this from a place of truth. Do not fear the pain you're living. Don't rush to understand it. Just trust. One day you'll look back and see that every wound had a reason. Every fall was a step towards something greater. And the pain you feel today will be, without doubt, the strength that holds you tomorrow. Close your eyes, breathe, You are not alone. Even if you can't see or feel Him, God is working. He hasn't forgotten you. He is preparing you. When the time comes, your wings, the ones that seem broken now, will open again. You will fly differently, slower, higher, more aware. You will fly with purpose. And then, looking back, you'll understand what I finally understood. Pain was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of the miracle.